Did you ever wake up in the middle of the night with a song stuck in your head? What do we usually remember the most about a song? Most likely it's the melody. But why? Because it's a combination of pitch and rhythm, something you can sing with one voice or play with one note on an instrument. Now, why are some melodies more hooky than others? Imagine a movie without a hero, without a protagonist, or a villain, or someone at least that we can follow, that keeps our interest. That's what I would compare a song without a melody to. In other words, the melody is the star of our movie, of our story. So how do we go about writing one? Do we just rely on our gut, or are there certain laws? Are there certain rules that we can at least use as guidelines to create something? And you might write great melodies just intuitively, out of your gut. But there's a tendency that we repeat ourselves because our muscle memory or our habits lead us back to the same things over and over. So I think it's helpful no matter what. If you've never written a melody or if you're a seasoned writer, I think it's helpful to understand what melodies are made of. To understand melody, it's good to sometimes backtrack and see what is it actually built of and how can I utilize the knowledge then to maybe embellish my melody or fix things. Let's start at the very basics. If I play a chord, I need to understand that chords are built out of notes, and these are part of a scale, like the A minor scale in this case. But the chord is the first, the third, and the fifth note. That's a basic triad. And if I play any notes that are occurring in the chord, I already have notes that fit. So if I don't know where to start, good starting place is pick the chord notes. If I change my chord, all these notes would be feeling released and fit the chord, obviously. If I want to make this more interesting though, the next step, a good melody or any melody that is memorable has rhythm. So if I would add rhythm to this, I can create something called a motif, a mini theme, a mini building block to make music. So how do we add rhythm? You can just take the same notes. If I go, oh. Say I'm going to go with this one. That's much more memorable than that. This would be like me talking always in the same rhythm on the same note. But here, it sounds decent enough. But why is it not quite interesting yet? We're only using chord notes. In order to add the spices to this dish, we need to add tension. Tension release is the major component of any art form. In this case, in music, we're creating it with notes that are not part of the chord. If I go play the 2, the 4, the 6, I have way more tension than just the 1, 3, 5 that I already play in my left hand here. So if I introduce this, I already have a more melodic element. So here's where I started using my gut instinct, my intuition, my ears to see which one I like best. And that's not rational per se, but it's like which one is pleasing and appropriate for the kind of music style and song I want to write. So let's go with okay, that would be already more memorizable than what we had before. So now we have chord notes, tension notes, and we had added rhythm to create a motif. Where do I put these tension notes? When I put them on the stronger beats, they also have more impact and have more tension. So if we go, instead of, like if I put a tension on a heavy beat, of course, it's more tense. So I can choose also how much tension I want to have and where I want it. If I want to leave it unresolved, this could work in context when I resolve it after, but do we want to stand on that note that is unresolved? Depends on the style. So now we got motifs. How do we make a melody is by repeating that motif and creating a variation of that. I could create a question and answer. But if I go question, answer, and then maybe the third time it gets developed a little further. This time I'm going to keep playing the same motif, but I'm going to change the chord. So instead of me following the chord, which sounds a little bit blunt and predictable, I can go stay on the same notes while the chords are moving. Or the chords could be moving the opposite way. Whatever, we have choices here. So not moving in the same direction makes it less predictable as well. Now finally, what I like to do in songwriting often is use language to build the motif and infuse the rhythm to the notes. So you find some good notes, take the lyrics and speak it out loud. For example, what is tension and release? I feel like there's tension and release. Those are the stresses of the language. And if I put them again on the tension notes, I have a pretty good melody. So, what is tension and release? What is tension and release? It's much more natural than what is tension and release. It sounds awkward. But if you go, I can use the language and then make it work within the music pretty easily. And finally, we have a good motif, we have a good theme, we want to add a bit more spice. I start introducing notes that are not in the scale. If I go, if I go to D major in an A minor, I'm introducing sharps and flats that weren't there before, and therefore I create a surprise. We all know it from if we have an F minor chord appearing in a C major scale, it creates a sense of surprise. So that will be a whole different conversation then. How can we break out of the normal scales, even if it's just a chord or a note in a melody here and there? That's a lot of fun, but I think it's good to start with just building good themes, good hooks based on chord notes, motifs, tension and release, and developing them into little themes. I hope this helps, and I hope you have new inspiration and maybe look at melody a little differently.